All right, party people, is you ready? Oh, I gotta take this off. Because it's gonna fuck it's gonna fuck my, check this out.
Emotional damage.
Okay, I promise I didn't mean to do that. I'd like to welcome you guys back to another episode in Dark Wizard's Dungeon. Thank you for having me, or thank you for coming to my class, whichever one you want to call it. I'm going to try to keep these intros very short, actually. And if I have any more conversation I'd like to add on to what I'm already giving you, I'll just add that to an extra video. Either in its own video, and I'll put that on the Patreon, because I know I told you I was killing that, but I decided maybe I could have some exclusive videos that I can hold on there that just aren't good for YouTube. Because I just had like 3 videos taken down recently. So I realized an offline, like an off-world platform is very good for me, especially the type of content that I make. So I'm going to keep these videos as direct as I can so we can try to keep these under an hour. I want to give one every single week. If I can do that, that'll be a really good thing. And the whole extra hour and a half, 30 minutes, my own personal thoughts, what I think about the week, what I think about the drama online, all that shit, we'll keep for a bonus clip. Cool with that?
Uh-huh, honey.
Okay, if this goes, because I think the audio is good, if this goes, check out the board. And let's get ready to get into it.
Do you suffer from a lack of a father figure? Do you have clinical depression? Have you ever accidentally broken your mom's favorite coffee cup, and when she found out you did it, she tied you to a bed and spanked you with a metal spatula? If you said yes to any of these things, I don't care. And to keep it a bean, no one cares.
So, of course, this doesn't just come from research or just me kind of being psychotic, but this is the foundation of what I believe a individual human being plays, not only in their own life, but how that connects to the relationships they have, how that connects to the communities they can be a part of, how that connects to not only their inner belief systems, but those belief systems as they're shared throughout the world and different communities. I believe that this is life that we're living is not an isolated one. As much as big tech may convince us that, oh, well, it's just lock you in a box and let's give you your algorithm, let's give you your ads, let's give you your this, your money, your this, your, and just as much as we're being locked in these individual echo chambers to become slaves to whether it's technology itself or it's AI, we're losing the value of what it means to not only be with each other and to respect each other, but we're losing the value of what it means to be a part of something beyond ourselves. And that's a very, very, very difficult world to live in. Every man for themselves, very crabs in a bucket. And that's not a world that I believe that we should be living in. Another thing that I believe in happens to be the more we recognize that we are a part of something greater than us, rather than trying to literally kill each other to be chosen by the most divine thing on planet Earth or the most divine species, then we start to release the stress and the anxiety of this needing to be right or perfect or never wrong. And we start to realize that we can allow ourselves to learn from other people, allow ourselves to be a part of things with other people, allow ourselves to grow with each other. And we don't have to do this life alone. We don't have to be in our head all the time. We don't have to be isolated from, we don't have to be away from, apart from, or hold ourselves back from certain things just because we believe that's not who we are in our identity. We can learn from our mistakes. We can learn from our experiences. We can learn from the life that we're living because we only get one of them. You're not going to get an opportunity to be who you are right now in a second life. You only get one of them from these 2 feet that you're living in right now. So why not wake up while you're in it and take advantage and responsibility for what you have right now? That's going to be the thesis, if not the foundation of a lot of the conversations that I'm having with you moving forward here. Because I could make videos explaining my perspective of the loneliness crisis or why nobody wants to get married or this and that and try to get my shit through the algorithm. I feel like I've already had those conversations with you guys. We already speak about this stuff in No Land for Good Men. Now it's time for the people who have solutions and genuine answers for these questions to come to the front. And I think I have something to present with y'all. So check out that board one more time. And we can get right into this one. Initially, let me make sure this is recording still too, though. Initially, I had intended to call this video patriarchy. If you submit to patriarchy, you're an existential cuck. But I think I could explain that concept a lot more intellectually than just leaving such a drastic title up for you guys during the video. So what did we choose to change our title to? Men who embrace their femininity are actually more masculine. Or I put a question mark there. Masculine? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Put something in the comments right now before we even continue this video. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to get you to see what I see. Not believe what I believe, see what I see, and then give you an opportunity to decide what you want to believe in. Because you're only seeing one side of the coin here. You're not seeing the tail end. You're only seeing the head end. We've already spoken about how the diverging concepts, the conflicting concepts that are if you believe that God is a man versus if you believe God is a woman. Mind you, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but the foundation, that perspective at which you have of what your source energy, source creator, divine entity is, will impact, or at least be the source of, every other decision you make in this life. Who that divine source is doesn't matter, but what they are, and especially what they are to you and what you are, is very important for us. All right? So you can look at these, you can look at patriarchy as a social construct if you want, but it's damn near a religion. It's damn near a religion, but it is not the religion, like exclusively the religion. There's multiple factors of this, but it is a cult psychosis. Personally, that's what I believe. I've been saying this for probably 2-3 years now. And people don't believe me, but you have to sit here and think, when you go from being a part of these like hyper-masculine communities or environments, and then you have your little breakthrough moment, whether like you took a mushroom or like you're tripping on a tab of acid, and then you end up realizing, oh my goodness, everyone's human being. I'm not the only one. And then you try to end up going to this other side of and making friends, or you happen to make other friends who are non-male or non-traditional patriarchy peers that you would have in a traditional sense. Then you look back at these other guys and they're looking at you as if you're somebody who just walked out of a cult. You don't understand the language that they use because it's all derogatory now since you know who these people actually are. You don't understand the things that they enjoy for fun because it's literally just shit that guys in this group like to do for fun, and there's a whole other world of things to do. There's art, there's music, there's cooking, there's this, there's that, but oh, that stuff's gay, that stuff's feminine, we don't do that. Like what? You're cutting yourself off from expressing yourself as a human, from understanding, from discovering, from developing skills, developing talents, discovering your own talents. Because you think it's feminine? And that's what binds you guys together. You guys are just so masculine, but it's like it's not even masculinity, it's just anti-femininity. Because half of you guys are undercover gay. Let's be honest here. But nobody admits it because that is the code of my frat brother, who accidentally slipped his penis in my butt one time, but it's okay because he said no homo afterwards. It's a cult, bro. Like, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this video that I'm taking right now has been inspired by the body cam footage of the cops catching that underground hazing ritual happening at University of Iowa. And to sit and to never have been in a frat or to be in a group like that, but to have played sports at a fairly decent level with other dudes and understanding the commitment it takes to be a part of a men's group that is actually trying to accomplish a goal. It's like you sit here and see what the guys are going through, and you initially ask yourself, why the fuck would anybody put themselves through that? Why would anybody put themselves through that? Even the things that they get afterwards. I made a shorter video on this, but whether it's hot girls on campus, it's being able to go into parties, being able to go to football games and get good seats, it's being able to underage drink. There's good things, of course, on the other end, especially for a horny 18-year-old boy who wants to be accepted. But did you catch that? The things on the other end of this hazing don't even matter. They just want the innocent, natural things, the community, bonding, access. They want innocent things and are willing to do the most inhumane, diabolical things as a means to access them. And that is the underlying structure and hidden codes that our country and a lot of these countries who are tied to these patriarchal religions function under. And that's why I say a lot of patriarchy is cuckoldry, because even though you may have access to a woman, to a wife, to dating women in your community, you are being cucked on multiple levels by those who actually get to win the game of society. And you know what's even worse than that? Our society isn't being ruled by winners of merit or by merit necessarily. It's being handed down through nepotism, whether it's by bloodline or by marriage. And the people who are more common than not running our society, again, this is, we're going to set you up for a big one here. Because apparently these two guys never have to take any accountability for doing anything. Pedophiles. Pedophilia is a form of being a predator, victimizing the youth, and DL eugenesis. And Nazis are just used to, like, on a localized level, so, like, protect this in-group of people. And then Christians are used on the outer group of that to, like, basically invalidate the trauma that people go through on the hands of whether it's the elitist group or it's the Nazi group, so then everyone can act like we're going to kumbaya in heaven after this, after we all die. You see how it's just a roundabout system of, I'm going to come into your land, take everything you have, cuck the fuck out of you, and then I'm going to make you my slave, and then I'm going to call you a bitch every day, and then I'm going to make you blame these issues on the person who is standing next to you and did none of this to you. Or that person has a vagina, or that person has black skin, so you can blame them. But I just did X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C, and D, E, and F, and every other fucking thing to you. Like, people who submit to patriarchy, it could have been because you were brought into it by religion. It could have been because you were indoctrinated into it by a cult. But I'm telling you right now, if you have a brain to think, your own independent cognitive function, and you never come to the conclusion that patriarchy serves nobody except that demographic that I was talking about, pedophiles and gay eugenicists, then you'll understand that patriarchy's for cucks. And I hope with these gym people getting exposed, these like gym bros who are getting exposed saying like, it's not just like those breakup memes like that girl cheated on me, so now I'm going to the gym and I'm going to gain 40 pounds of rock hard muscle on my dick. Like, you're realizing that that's cuck fantasy. You are fantasizing another man making love to the girl that you like, instead of just moving on because said girl doesn't like you anymore. Like, that's her choice. And you have a choice to keep thinking about this like a cuck, or you can move on because that's how relationships work. like, we're going to get into this, and I'm going to say cuck maybe 57 times, more times in this video than I have to this point, because I really, really, really want to reinforce living in a world where women have executive authority, where women are allowed to lead, where gay people and queer people are humanized and they get opportunities to lead, where we can have decentralized, democratized communities that come together when we need to make large-scale decisions instead of just, hey, we voted for this person, but that person is actually a slave to their donors instead of people that they're supposed to represent. You're going to realize society can get a lot cooler. And one more note that I want to add in here too, because it may be important as it pertains to the rest of this video, is I think a lot of our systems, they're not just master-slave systems. They're codependency systems. Because in a, not a perfect world, obviously, but in a natural world, like a pre-colonized world, and there's not enough documentation to support me that will be validated by you like intellectual freaks that go to these like high-end universities. But fuck, I almost lost it. Okay, now I know what I was saying. In a natural world, and that goes back to me thinking that the Big Bang or whatever it is must have been a group of man was brought to Earth on an Earth that was heavily populated by women and men who followed women. And you also have to think, you don't know a lot of history because a lot of colonized groups had tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of years of history, but it wasn't documented on paper or written inscription. It was told orally. Many indigenous groups and tribes, and African tribes especially, had oral practices. You know why? Because they knew if somebody came to colonize the land that they were on, which is crazy to have foresight like this, they would rather the people colonizing them, when the evil in their hearts didn't have access to this power at all. They would rather nobody had access to this power and this insight and this information than the people who were going to come and rape and pillage everything that they had have access to it. So of course you have parables, you have folklore, you have stories that are told, cultural stories that are handed down, but much of the most important information was held in initiate groups and only told orally. And also another thing that's pretty interesting about the oral tradition thing is that a lot of the conversations that would probably be important for us to understand as it pertains to understanding this Epstein file situation, you'll never know the truth because the email is only the like, hey, I just need to quickly shoot out part of the conversation. It's these golf courses that these people have real conversations on, where the only people that exist around you are worth 7, 8, 9 figures. So you don't have to worry about any of these people snitching on you because they already have so much responsibility to deal with, or they already so wanting to be a part of this country club, a part of this golf club, that they won't care to hold your secret. That's what holds this whole thing together. All right. I don't know how much we were just speaking about, but let's get to talking. Before I get, because I don't have that much time in here anyway. Time to speak about how patriarchy cucks you. To my boys, especially. Those of you guys who think that you're all like super masculine because you go to the gym and you're just like pumping iron all day, but you still don't know how to read, or you don't know what your phonics are. or the guys who sit here and get online and create podcasts or just create entire content strategies about hating on women. Like, you guys think this is masculine, but you're in a position of hatred because you lack fulfillment, because you lack accommodation. Let's get into this. I really hope by the end of this, and I'm trying to get through this in like 15 minutes because I want you guys to really feel like, damn, like, do I really, like, the greatest thing that I could be in here is a cuck or a pedophile? Like, damn, like, that's not where I want to be at. Hopefully that's what you're thinking by the end of this. And not, damn, I think I might have to go a little harder. Starts young. Let's start with the self-concept. Boys are taught at a very young age, not only boys will be boys so they don't have to grow up, but boys are taught that maturing only comes through abandoning your emotions and abusing yourself. Let's be honest. And the reason why I want to say that too, it doesn't matter how scientific you make it look, especially like the Huberman husbands and whatnot. I don't care how biohacking, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You know who the most masculine men genuinely are in the community? It's the people that you call animal savages that are living with the loincloths in these indigenous and African tribes. You know why? Because when you have to go and hunt for your food, sit here and think. You can't just drive to Costco or drive to Walmart and then pick up some ground beef and then go slam it on the freaking on your grill and then go meal prep. Are you fucking kidding me? If you want to eat, if the family wants to eat meat, you literally have to hunt. You have to exercise for it. And even crazier than that, you might not even get it. You might exercise for nothing and have to go back and eat berries and salad. These are people that, isn't that crazy? The people you call savages are the only time they eat meat, because a lot of these tribes are mainly vegetarian, the only time they get to eat meat, which sits in your body actually, way more than any other substance, they have to exercise to get it. And when people are coming to, again, they don't have this inner dream or desire of conquering other people's communities or nations because they feel the love and the value and the respect from their own, giving them the incentive to protect and defend this village that has loved them into maturity. Didn't force them like the Romans to abandon their families or get kicked out of their families at young ages, to go on 25-year missions to go take over somebody else's land and go what, rape and pillage the village? This is from the Romans, whether it's European, the cults and secret societies, whether it's American universities and fraternities, whether it's American street culture and gang violence. Get these kids young. Teach them. That's not what boys do. That's not what men do. Get them to abandon their emotions and abuse themselves into becoming this illusion of what it means to be a man, because they're never going to be like the men in the comic books. They're never going to be like the people in the movies. They're never going to be like the rappers in the rap songs. But you know who they could be? A better version of a man than their dad was. They could be a better version of a man than their peers are. They could be an actual grown man who takes responsibility for their life and their actions and takes accountability for when they're causing harm in this life and learns and grows from it and becomes a man of many lessons because they've had many experiences and they've grown through with all of them. But we, and this is why I call it the rape of the male mind, because you have to get these hopeful, excited, loving young boys. A lot of these kids, when they're coming out the womb, when they're raised with access to opportunity, to the air, to the sun, to playing with life, they come out with so much potential and so much inspiration and hope. And that gets battered down, whether it's because dad's not in the home to help them. So a lot of the stress that mother is going through is now placed onto them. Whether it's they don't have boys that love their niche interest. So now they feel excluded from everybody. And even worse than that, they're not going to have any girlfriends if they don't have any boyfriends. People don't want to just hang out at one-on-ones. So it's like, sit here and think. We've created this society where all the aspects, the essential fundamentals that boys need, we take from them, and then we give them the wrong answers, and then we sick them onto society to abuse every non-male in society to continue to perpetuate this system. And then we blame the issues that said men are going through onto these other people that they're validated in abusing in society, instead of realizing that the psychological manipulation of a young man thinking that this is what he would have to do to become a man, to become a gentleman, to become an adult, was actually necessary. And he wasn't being manipulated to perpetuate games that we need to end. Self-concept is developed through fantasy. Because real grown men take responsibility. Real grown men are accountable. Real grown men act and live with intention. It doesn't matter if they're wearing a Gucci shirt. It doesn't matter if they're wearing a shirt from Kohl's. It doesn't matter if they're wearing jeans from freaking a thrift shop. who they are inside is the most important, and how they express that, especially not only that, but how they can tame the animal that men and boys know we naturally are, to make sure that we're still expressing that in the world, but in healthy ways, expressing that through exercise, through athletics, through meditation, through stretching, through community engagement, through partying, through raves and festivals and concerts. The rage can be expressed through there, and we can still keep people safe without needing to sick our emotions onto them. But that education doesn't come. You know what's even worse, or it really makes me sad for a lot of boys, when they're too active, they're over the top. Instead of giving information or accommodations in that sense, they're given medication to be like everybody else, only to further make them a shell of who they are, rather than give them an understanding of their differences and allow them an opportunity to accept that. So that's a conversation that the medical industry and the education industry need to have. And you guys can come to me if you want some answers for that. But all of that leads to not knowing the value of, and not learning the value of, and really being a benefiting factor of, truly, because that's one of the best ways to learn this aspect of a good man who knows his role in society and can take care of his responsibilities from that role. Not having access to that makes you think that being a man is an illusion, like this fantasy of conquering the entire world, or you have this existential insecurity that like you're going to be meaningless and pointless on planet Earth. So then you feel like you have to go dominate somebody else outside of you to remind you of this, again, fantasy masculinity that you want to emulate. But you don't have to. I guess that kind of connected into cutting off the boys from emotions, right? Cutting off the boys from emotional support, and getting the boys to not look up to the responsible men in their community. But even worse, rewarding some of the most negatively inspirational people in said community. Because not only do you want boys chasing the validation of this false masculine, you also want them chasing the validation of a bunch of peers to help reinforce that false masculine around them. Whether it's gang culture, whether it's criminal culture, whether it's making homophobic jokes, whether it's misogynistic jokes, whether it's validating the abuse or perpetuating the abuse of women. Again, when you don't know who you are, you don't value yourself, you don't really have the understanding of what it means to be valued by a community of people who are these identities, who are women, who are queer, who are children. When you don't learn to value them just as much as they value you and experience that as well, you put yourself in a position where the only people you can actually connect with are other men, because they're the only people who are fortunate enough to deal with the privileges that you do, even if you don't feel like you're being privileged, which you aren't because you're being cucked. But the little crumbs of privilege that you get from this society are more to you and whoever else perpetuates this than is being accepted and loved by a community of people, and then being able to be the fullness of who you are within said community, or at least create a community that allows you access to that. But that also leads me to speak about marriage culture. I'm going a little too fast here. I'm sorry. I'm going just slightly too fast because I want to make sure I'm working within the time properly here. When you don't have boys who know how to not only be a part of community, but build community, and not only build community, but also seek community. This is a problem for a lot of boys going from high school to college. And it's horrible going from middle school to high school as well. But high school to college is fucking insane, especially if you're in a new city and all that. That's why people fall into gangs, to frats, to cults. They feel like they're a part of something. They feel connected. They feel like, hey, as long as I do these things, it's almost like blood for blood. We're kind of brothers by association. So I feel like I'm getting community at the mercy of everything I have to do to have access to that. And that's what, again, I think I already said this earlier, but that's what perpetuates the type of social structures that we are forced to live under. And that's what type of sets the stage for things like the Epstein files to exist. Because it's a cult of secrecy. It's not only a blackmail ring, but it's, I see your dirty laundry, you see mine, but you don't know that I'm recording yours. And we're going to keep it a secret until making it public does me more benefit than keeping it a secret for you. And that's a lot of these systems. And it would actually, if you really, I don't, you just, I'll have to have this conversation later with you guys anyway. But it's, if you create a society to where women feel safe enough to not have to always choose the most, I don't want to say it like this, but like the most hyper masculine, like predatory male to protect them from the potential that other men could do, because any man could commit crime against women. That's what you have to know in this world. As men, you may not experience it because you want attention from women, but any man is susceptible of perpetuating crime or committing crime against women. Because every man, especially every man who submits to patriarchy, feels entitled to accessing women at the mercy of the women's well-being or the women's autonomy. Okay, we understand that. Next. I think that marriage culture is a contract. Let me make sure this is still recording. I think marriage culture is a contract in between rich men and poor men saying, if you accept to be our slaves, you see those women over there? You see those girls over there? Those will be your slaves if you go through this roundabout system of rituals and beliefs properly. So in my eyes, where, again, this is from the perspective that women don't work. Like, think about this like 100 years ago. If women aren't allowed to work and the only thing they can be are wives and baby incubators, then marriage is the enslavement of women to perpetuate the population. Because you also can't have guys being gay, because gay dudes don't produce children. They just produce love and like good music. So it's, you have to force every slave to have a baby incubator. And I don't look at women this way. Forgive me for saying those words, but every man to have a slave to keep on reproducing. That is a very good incentive to get these guys to buy into patriarchy, because instead of recognizing, naturally, women decide who reproduces. In a perfect world where men could not override the decision that women have to carry on life, women decide who gets reproduced. You have to create some inverted belief system that says that, oh, women are like divine sinners and like they don't know how to make any decisions, so we as men have to decide for you. That's what pro-life is. It's let me use my brown book to dig my hands into your gut and decide whether or not a life can come out of this without actively doing it. Marriage used to be women's only access into humanity beyond their childhood. That's probably a consequence of a pedophilic society, but that's another conversation. While these guys think that they're being given the life that they want because women, or because they have a wife, they have access to a wife. It's like, oh my goodness, my life is okay now. Like, I'm not just a slave now. Now I have somebody that can be a slave to me as well in my own home. Check that out. Yeah, that's a distraction to stop you from seeing that everybody who doesn't make it to this like child woman to marriage pipeline is at the potential of being prostituted. Every single unmarried woman above the age of 12 years old, no, actually not even that, any at this point, like there is no age. Look at these files, bro. There is no age. Any woman who does not submit to the marriage culture is at the mercy of being prostituted. The issue with that is not necessarily the prostitution. The issue with that is the social stigma that comes and blocks said women from accessing community and welfare and support because it's blamed on them, the prostitution. And two, the people who are participating in this from a top end are protected from said system and are using marriage and purity culture as a means of refracting blame for prostitution to the people being prostituted rather than the people trafficking the victims. This is why you might have, if you could read here, it says, every male slave gets a slave to distract you while we prostitute your daughters underground. And again, you guys might not see it as that. I've watched a handful of documentaries from the past like 5-6 decades, one from each, to see how this industry has changed and kind of reconfigured itself. And now they're not just going into your bedroom or going into your home and stealing kids out of their bedrooms. These people are going online and they're influencing your children to start making these types of accounts, to start making this type of content, to start showing up at these types of parties and clubs that they're not legally able to be at. It's the media slowly bringing you in. Come to me. Look at all the fun that we can have. Look at you wanting to be a grown woman so bad. Come to me. And they get you and your insecurity, your desire to be famous, your desire to be a part of something. They drag that out of you and they make you make all the wrong decisions yourself. And then they blame you for being in a position to where you now have the potential to be trafficked. So that's why it's weird. And I have a whole entire, it'll probably be like 5 hours. I got a whole video speaking about how I think that, it's not big tech specifically, but it is definitely a descendant group of the mob are using internet media platforms and networking platforms as a means of getting kids to fall into these traps of career-long prostitution. And I literally do not understand why OnlyFans is still a company. Actually, there's 2 reasons why Instagram, OnlyFans, and Discord are still companies, but if I said the answer, this video would get taken down. But even if you don't want to accept the cuckoldry system of marriage, and even worse than that, like you as a man are enslaved to, or you're not enslaved to the relationship, you have a slave in the relationship. But where that is a slave binding contract, you are also a slave financially to the person that pays your bills and keeps your lights on. But the person who is making all of the money on the top end of all the labor that you're doing for them beneath their feet, they're the ones who get to come in and be the people cheating on, helping your spouse cheat. They're the ones who get to be paying for prostitution. They're the ones who get to be investing in these freaking experiences. Like when we tell you that billionaires shouldn't exist, we're not sitting here saying that like people shouldn't have a lot of money. We're just sitting here saying that what could you genuinely be doing with that much money? You're not hoarding it. You're affording things that money can't buy, at least legally. That's what we're assuming. So hopefully you understand that your boss is your master, especially if your boss doesn't pay you like an actual living wage, or if you lost your wage from your boss, you would be broke and homeless. You're a slave. It doesn't look like a plantation, doesn't look like slave chains, but if you got kicked from your job and you are in a bad position, you cannot self-sustain off whatever you have right now, you are a slave. And even worse than that, if you do have a living wage, Or you can afford to pay your bills. You can afford to go on your own. You can run a business. You can start something and build your own independent legacy. Why aren't you? Because you're comfortable. Because you like having another man tell you what to do. And you sit here and you listen to these women say like they hate all men. And it's not even necessarily they hate all men. They just hate the fact that this society is being perpetuated by men who are in love with everything men do at the mercy of the well-being of everyone else. They want the opportunity to do their own shit. They don't even want to help us or even fix us anymore. They want to do their own shit apart from us. That's what that hate all men thing means. I hope you understand that. They're tired of waiting for us to constantly figure it out when they have things in order. They just need the capital and the environment and to not be fucked with. And the sooner, like the longer it takes for you as a dude to recognize that like the train is leaving, like the train to the promised land is leaving without us because it's not led by us, you're going to collapse with the society that you're trying to force on this world. We all might, but you definitely will. And there will be no hope for you because, again, you want massa to tell you what to do. You want the supreme Lord leader to tell you what to do because you don't believe in yourself. You have no intuition because your intuition is connected to your femininity. That is your feminine energy. Your inner voice, your inner spirit is the feminine energy. That also leads me to another theory that I have, which there is no such thing as a future. There is an infinite number of potential realities, but life is born out of you and the decisions you make now and the experiences that you engage in right now. You have to keep on engaging now, but keeping your head forward, engaging now to unfold new opportunities to ride through. There is no future waiting for you out there. You will keep sitting here doing the same shit every day, Sunday to Saturday, from January to December, every single year, waiting for that thing to come and save you, and it never will. Because you don't look within and you don't see how you feel, you don't see your discomfort, you don't see your discontent, and want to change something. Because you need a master, and a lot of guys don't want to admit that. But you need a master. You need somebody to tell you what to do. Even crazier, you want to assume yourself to be the master of your wife in the home. Yeah, that's only because she didn't have any civil rights back then. Because more times than not, the women were running the finances. The women were taking care of the home duties. The women were taking care of making sure that the access to the things that the man couldn't do in the city while he's at work, the women were taking care of all that too. Women were running the whole house, not because that's all they can do, because they weren't allowed the opportunity to also show men that they can do what men do too. And all this other shit. Imagine how insecure you're going to be after that. You can't take care of yourself. You can't get a woman. You can't take care of yourself. You can't handle any of your business. You're never going to get a woman if you can't do the first two things I just told you. So it's like, yeah, very insecure society when we're not allowed to just immediately dehumanize women, second-class citizen them, and then use them for the desire of first class. It's almost the same exact thing as like as long as you convince the lowest white person that they're better than a black person, they will not give a fuck as to what society you live in. It's the same thing, but for dudes and women. As long as you convince the lowest dude with 2.5 brain cells fighting for oxygen in his brain, as long as you can convince that loser that he's better than any woman just because he's a dude, that's how you allow systems like this to perpetuate themselves. Because there's no way in hell. And you're telling us that we're going to sacrifice living or submitting to the truth just because it comes out of a woman for the sake of dying underneath a lie told to us by a man just because he's a man and had access to influence. Just because. Final thing is probably the funniest thing. This pertains to a TikTok that I saw actually fairly recently. And it was saying something along the lines of, if you're a dude and you need a pastor past the age of 25. Now, mind you, if you're a dude and you have a pastor and this is like a family friend or somebody who like you connect with regularly, don't take this like personal. You can if you want, though. I don't give a fuck. The video was saying, though, if you're a dude over the age of 25 and you still need a pastor to tell you like what decisions to make in your life and how to be a man and how to hold yourself and conduct yourself, you're a cuck. Now, didn't say those words specifically, but that's the conclusion I came to. Because what he said was even funnier. He said, if the pastor is teaching you how to be a man, then that pastor better be fucking your wife. And as blunt as that sounds, you have to sit and wait for me to explain it. I'm not saying that. Obviously, like, for intimacy to happen, we need consent. But the inspiration behind that is you as a grown man need another grown man to tell you how to be a grown man. What have you been doing your whole life? And even worse than that, you're already cucked out by your boss because your boss doesn't pay you enough. And if they do pay you enough, they only give you 2 weeks of vacation and you have no sick leave and you barely get health care. So it's like they get to tell you when to go to lunch. They tell you when to go to work. They tell you what to dress like. They tell you who to speak to. They tell you what you have to do on your weekends. Most of these jobs that are still employing people and aren't laying off people, they're laying off the people who show up from Monday to Friday, and they're only keeping the people who are open to working Sunday to Saturday. Legit. They're not firing you because you can't do the job. They're firing you because they're tired of actually having to pay employees on regular schedules, and they want the people who are so cracked, big tech vocabulary, who just want to live in the office and create new standards of slave labor. I don't know how familiar you guys are with this because I don't know how much you guys are into tech, but because you follow me, you're going to have to get dragged into it. These guys are trying to copy the Chinese work schedule called 996. You work 6 days a week, 9 hours a day, or not even 9 hours a day. You work 6 hours a week from 9 to 9. Am I saying the wrong thing like 5 times? 6 days, 12-hour days, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And you got to be on call that 7th day. What are you building that is that necessary? Like, you are not contacting aliens. You are not building rocket ships to get us to freaking Neptune and Saturn. You are not building the next monetary system. You don't need to be in there. It's these rich kids trying to act like they earned every dollar that they have access to, and all they did was have like a coffee date with an investor and get $50 million for their stupid ass like AI rapper business. It's so annoying, bro. To me. But this is what you dudes live like. You get cucked out of making decisions for yourself. You get cucked out of having enough money to live the life that you want. You get cucked out of having access to the girl that you want. Because with wealth inequality, guess what? The king and the king's court gets access to running through every single human being in sight. And the Reaganomics, the trickle-down economics that he said was going to be the money from the government to poor people. No. Trickle-down economics are the 19-year-old girls that are hooking up with these 60-year-old billionaires that are now tired of running on the street or running on the corner, and now they're going to marry you. Nothing against these women. Everything against when we support a system of wealth inequality, wealth extraction, immense inequality. Who are you to decide for women that they are not going to go chase after the dude who actually has it? In a world where you can choose to go on a date with a dude who's going to take you to Wendy's for a 4 for $4 and then complain that you're not having sex with him, not go on a date at all, or the third option is maybe go on a date with a millionaire and he takes you to like a crazy date, crazy hotel, maybe you hook up with him. Women don't have to choose, okay, well, if I don't choose one of these two options, I'm going to die now. They can take care of themselves. So you think that women who can take care of themselves and don't have to forcefully be in these traumatizing experiences, you think they're going to put up with that shit? Hell no. Hell no. So you as a dude who submits to patriarchy, you're being cucked out of every single aspect of your life. You're being cucked out of even accepting yourself for who you are because you've given the responsibility of your own self-acceptance to an other man who is successful by means of the system and may have never even earned that success by merit, may have just had that success handed down to him. You're waiting for that kid to tell you that you've earned your manhood, you've earned your masculinity. Dude, you're a cuck, bro. And because you can't accept yourself for who you are and start on the path of being that, even if everybody rejects you, you will forever be one. Because a master of slaves would much rather have slaves that are content with their slavery than have to constantly remind them that they're slaves. Okay, I'm going to see if I can extendo my time in here, and if I can, then we're going to get into the second part of the video, which I believe these feminine men are going to take over the world.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I think that was good, huh? You're literally, you have to sit here and tell me, what do you win from patriarchy? What do you win? This part of the video will be the first half. What do you win? Oh, even worse than that. The religion that you worship says you have to suffer your whole entire life with poverty, with trauma, with abuse, with lack of self-knowledge. You have to suffer with all of this. And you might get an opportunity to live like I'm living right now because I am your master. You might get an opportunity to live like this after you're dead. But for the time being, you, your granddaddy, your daddy, your son, his son, their son, if you have them all of them will work for me and my family and be slaves to us. Because we get to be kings on earth, and then we're going to die and go to heaven with you, and we're going to be kings in heaven too. But you're going to have to be a slave on earth so you can have access to this kingdom of heaven, which I will never have to endure. Like, how come one group of people never has to endure the slavery part? Like, do you not get that? Like, once you realize that, you're going to be like, okay, well, why? There are some people who are never waiting to go to heaven. Let me stop and stay here right here. There are entire bloodlines of people who were born into earth and left earth. Nobody on their bloodline knew that black people were anything but monkeys to be owned and abused. There were entire multiple generations of people in their genes. All their brains know is seeing a black person and seeing a slave. And that time period has lasted multiple times longer than the time period of black people having human rights and being forced to exist as humans in society. Think about what that does generationally to the psyche. Think about what that could do. Okay, let me make sure I'm not getting kicked out of here. We're going to get into my favorite part next. I think it would also afford us, it'd be a lot better if I explain how I live my life too in relation to these standards. But not only that, I'm also coming out with Tribal Worlds, my platform, which I'm vibe coding now. But if any of you guys are developers and you want to help me out with that, please get in my email right now and I will send you all the prototypes, MVPs, everything. I want to work with real people who see me on this side of life. I don't want to have to go through a bunch of fucking big tech leak code interviews and then like, okay, well, who has good ideas can go kind of hang out with us. Like, I want my people to help me, so when we get on, I can help put you on and we can do more shit for our people. That's how I'm going about it. Bootstrap, 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 billionaire. Because then they can't. No, let me not say that. Let's get into it. Now, instead of the hypermasculine awareness and the cult of man that is patriarchy telling us that the threefold expression of God, which I think is held almost universally, God not being one person, like the creator God not being one person, but either being a broken unity of three or a family of diverging expressions of a source. But if we're looking at the magic number of three here, then a lot of patriarchal religions look at the divinity as the father, the son of that father, who somehow was born out of like a womb that doesn't exist. And then, was born out of clay. And then the Holy Spirit, which obviously is like a means to replace women in any type of like spiritual authority. Because how did you as a man create a son without a woman giving birth to it? Like, isn't that the weirdest shit ever? And all that does is create a society where men are the only ones who are humanized, and men don't give birth to children. So the emotional, like the umbilical cord connection is not there for a man. A man has to choose to care. And I think we can see that with a lot of broken families in our society. But a man has to either be raised to care or choose to care for the life that he has created, even if the life came out of his nuts. The woman has more of a connection, more times than not. Sometimes she doesn't, but the woman has more of a connection to the child because the child was literally feeding off of her for months into its own livelihood. From a sperm impregnating an egg to literal life, the mother is giving her life to sustain the life of this life until it can be its own self-sufficient life. The problem is when we create a society where men are the only ones who are humanized, the most vulnerable species or demographic in said society are children. Not only because the women aren't humanized enough and given the opportunity to protect their own, and not only their own, but the children of the village, but also men victimizing children are seen as making mistakes and needing to be forgiven, and children are invalidated at the mercy of our society's need to forgive men. This is why I say it's hilarious that the three top leaders of our society are people who think that they're the divine chosen race, gay eugenicists, and pedophiles, because we create way too many kids to be taken care of and we don't have real communities, meaning that we're creating enough children every single generation for pedophiles to use, whether it's raping them or sending them to war. The gay eugenicists have enough children they can use, whether it's to do human experiments on to find out how they're going to live longer, or they can find out how to use other people's bodies as surrogates to create the kids they want, or to gene harvest off of them to help sustain themselves living forever. And then the chosen race, Nazi people, they just benefit by convincing us to believe in their religion so we can exchange everything that we own, whether it's our real estate, it's our natural resource, it's our soul, in exchange for being accepted by them. Or hopefully getting into this illusion of a heaven that they are convincing us is real, while they are getting to live their actual heaven behind closed doors, if not right in front of our faces. Those are the three people who run, if not American society, go look up this term, the Trilateral Commission. This is not a brand deal. Now, where that contradicts with the mother god is that there doesn't need to be a chosen race or a chosen group of people, because we're all children of the mother. This is not, we're all Father God's children. Like, no, we're all Mother God's children, because Mother gave birth to all of us. Through infinite creativity, we were all born through the infinity of source, we were all given life. Born into this experience. Born, and even crazier, artist, this is something that you don't understand, but even creating of art is a very feminine aspect. Not that it's like, oh, pink and feminine, but because it is a part of our feminine energy. Our ability to look within our own figurative womb of our mind and to dig into the infinity of ideas and passions and interests that we have, and to create, to birth, to unfold from ourself creation that is connected to us. That is a birthing process. That takes time. That takes investment. That takes a lot of endurance. That takes ridiculous amounts of belief. That could take your life. And women naturally have an aspect to do this, not only with ideas, but with literal turning a germ that is sperm into human life. That is pretty damn magical. Not a man on planet Earth. Maybe a handful of trans men have, but not a man, like biological man through and through on planet Earth, have given birth to a child. And that's why you can sell that religious story of like divine authority so well, because it's like, wait a second, man don't create children. So a man created a children? He must be a god. No. If anything, I don't know why you science fiction dorks don't want to look into the Genesis story being like, oh, that's not God. That's like some divine scientist that came here with like a human or desire to like see these humans. And he's like, okay, well, what if I can make them slaves? Oh, they don't want to be slaves? Okay, well, fuck them. I'm going to make my own. And then that group of people has been living alongside of, quote unquote, the rest of us, and has been attempting to take over the world through like global domination for the past however many thousand years. I don't know why you guys don't want to go there. You guys always just want to go policing black people or something. So I don't get too far off the point because we don't have too much time in here. We're in a system where we aren't only giving men access to positions of divine authority as like they are chosen by the Divine Mother. I think the Divine Mother sees all of us as valuable to this system to regulate this place. But I don't think it's men on top of other people. I think it's we as men have purpose, and it's not only specific, but it's also divergent amongst ourselves in our different positions here. Women have natural purpose, and I think queer people have divine purpose as well. And what's really scary about that is that once you leave patriarchy, you realize how insignificant men are to society unless they are willing to submit to making the place a better place. Because a lot of men don't know what to do with power. They don't have any responsibility. They don't take any accountability. They don't care about anybody but themselves, and they don't care about anything but their own survival. Even if they are not in survival mode and it's just some nasty fetish. So to be that individualistic in a world full of so many people, to not be even inherently connected to others, to not have the feeling of care and empathy beyond the self, beyond the ability to feed oneself, to nourish one's own energy. You forget that when we aren't subjugating these people to be dependent on accessing us to access society, if they can just access their own needs or access their own accommodations directly, we have to beg them. We as men have to beg them for their insight, for their connection to the earth, for their connection to the universe. We have to beg them to be not only received by them, but to be a part of this earth experience that they are already so well connected to, even more connected to than a majority of us. And because of these two connections, woman and queer connection to spirituality and the natural spiritual zone of this earth, it's easy to just give men first-class citizenship because they're just going to submit to whoever the master is. We don't naturally have the ability to dig in to our emotional, energetic plane. They have to keep us distracted and cut off from that. That's why they even give us things like alcohol. That's why they give us things. They influence so much to have like this animalistic drive for sex all the time. They want you not in your lower chakras because The devil is taking advantage of you. They want you in your lower chakras. They want you in your body to be a slave to your flesh, so you never realize the potential of your own mind and imagination. You never realize the greatness that you can be if you give yourself up to your mind, if you give yourself up to your own intelligence, rather than constantly being a victim to all of these fleshly desires that you have. I'm not telling you to stop drinking and smoking. I'm not telling you to stop having sex. I'm not telling you to stop doom scrolling. I'm asking you, if you're going to do it with some intention. And if you don't know what the intention is, try to figure out why. Creating a society where we give everybody value and purpose and allow the differences in these types of people, because we're assuming that we're allowing all of these people to grow up, whether it's they want to be in a relationship or not. In a world where these people can live full lives, we can then come together collectively to understand how we want, from the second a child is born out of the womb, how we want to make sure that they are cared for and loved every second of the way by the village they are born into, until they decide it's time for them to leave the village, or it's time for them to become somebody apart from the village. That's why you can't create a society under the foundation that some humans are human and some are not human. Because all humans need to come together to decide how the most vulnerable of our humans are going to be taken care of. So everybody has an opportunity to put their hand out to help one another. That's community, bro. That's why it's so hard to understand community in the society we live in, because it's not just male community now. It's, okay, well, because for so long, the only people that were human and could have community were men, every other individual identity is going to try to make a community like that. Instead of recognizing, hey, a bunch of the best communities have a collective of a bunch of different people, because they have different perspectives, because they have different gifts, different skills, different attributes to themselves that complement each other so well. It's like we're this giant megazord that's just come together and is accomplishing these giant tasks and enjoying ourselves and who we're becoming along the way, rather than us fighting against each other to try and get this inner sense of value through external validation and salvation, while sacrificing the connections in the community that we could be making along the way to access said acceptance. That'll never come, by the way, because it only comes from the self. I don't know if it'll be the next video, but I'll make another video that is going to speak on what I believe the child growth pipeline should be. And it'll be, if somebody gave me $100 million and gave me a city to run a community, that this is how I'd run it. Actually, let me put a picture of what I'm thinking right now. And I'm also going to add in a picture here as to how I think if we end up going to like a segregated community type situation, how could black communities raise white kids to not only not be racist, but to be contributing members of a global consciousness? Instead of needing to colonize out of a fear of being colonized or being insignificant, how can white people position themselves to be students, almost like the Greeks were to the Ethiopians, students of intelligence, students of empathy, students of love and healing and growth, and make something of themselves that is beyond this constriction to this whiteness identity that is so readily tied to Nazism. You don't need to be the chosen group, race of people on earth to have divine authority over everybody. Just contribute in a collaborative way. Just contribute with love and care. Just be a part of something that helps somebody and see how far that takes you. That's what I want to get in your fucking head. Because people are so cool. There is so much cool around the world. There is so much awesome shit all over this planet, bro. But if all you care about is spending time colonizing it, conquering it, destroying it, corrupting it, you make it ugly. And then you force the rest of the world who's lost their beauty to respect what you think is beautiful. And it's just yourself in the mirror. What if that is ugly to the rest of us? Now you've created an entirely ugly reality for the sake of worshiping yourself, not realizing that all you did was just fuck the whole entire thing in ugly.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
We'll get into the juice right now. I'm a fan of matriarchal societies. I just want you guys to know that before we get into this part of the video. And when I get I'm telling you right now, like, I'm not like a white liberal leftist socialist. I'll be one of the richest black Americans in this country's goddamn history. I promise I will. And because of that, or because like I don't play things like video games and like do like lame shit, I realized I want to spend every single dime I have investing in the craziest mutual aid projects, the craziest communities, the craziest creative careers, bro. Young people who want to go to school, who want to run businesses. I'm taking every dime I got, because I'm also not having kids. And I'm giving it to them dreamers that dream hard and delusionally hard. I am a delusional investor. That's what I'm going to be. Because I'm not spending money chasing the I need a house with 2-car garage and 10 and a half kids, or I don't need that. Because one thing I recognized is if you're able to get it in this world, especially after getting it after coming from nothing, you recognize that there's a lot more talented people that don't have shit and just need enough than there are people who have shit that can be coached into being talented. And if you, especially myself, as somebody who's come from that depth, that like hopelessness, if I can help these young people create systems, if I can help these young people, and again, I'm not trying to act like I'm like your dad or some shit, but if I can help these people at least like the bowling ball bumpers, just kind of in the right direction, they can take it from there. These kids are not stupid, bro. I promise. These kids, every generation, it may seem like they're getting dumber because they're scrolling more and they're using AI chatbots. These kids are not stupid, bro. These kids are not stupid. They're just not given an opportunity to use the technology that we've been given properly to optimize their own type of intelligence. But these kids are not stupid, bro. These kids are not stupid. How are we going to change the way that we raise boys? We allow the village to raise them, incubate them in the love, in the care, in the understanding of what it means to be a man before they're forced into the world to actually stand on what it is to be one. Before they're forced into a world with no instruction, with no intellect, no enlightenment, and they're forced to learn from their experiences, or even worse, they're forced to learn from their peers who also have not been given proper instruction. This is the importance of the village. This is even more important. You guys need to look at the war on drugs or the arresting every black and brown dad in America for the little don't do drugs thing. That is a human rights violation. The knowing of what would happen to entire communities following the conscious civil rights movement when you remove that many fathers under technicalities for years? Delusional. Ronald Reagan is burning like a rotisserie chicken in fucking hell for doing that. I promise he is. And you know what's crazy? Trump's trying to do something just like that. But he's not just trying to do it to a certain demographic. He's just trying to do it to all poor people. Him and his administration is just, they're trying to run with the plug and turn America into Dubai. Where the only aspect you know of this country are what rich people are doing and what rich tourists come in to do. And the people who really run this shit are just absolute zombie slaves. But this is very important. Very, 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 very important. And this is another reason why I can't let you guys go full in on believing the whole white feminist, all boys are animals. Boys are animals the second they're born into this reality. No, 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 no. No, they aren't. A lot of boys lose hope in reality at a very young age, between the ages of 7 and 12 years old. A lot of boys lose or just maybe even don't have the proper support for going through certain traumas that they've endured from the ages of 7 to 12, maybe even to 14 years old, and for not having the right regulation techniques, the right healing techniques, the right skill development techniques. The habits and the ideas that are harbored at that age put them in a very vulnerable position to be given indoctrination from toxic masculines to incentivize them to join these little cults of bullshit, and to further separate them in psychosis away from anybody who could genuinely help them, like people in their village, maybe their parents, maybe their peers, maybe their friends, maybe people who are not dudes. So it's important for us to understand, what age does this happen? Are we even studying what age this happens at? Probably not, because a lot of you guys don't care about, you don't care about men at all, especially little boys, but you group in little boys who haven't learned anything and haven't been given anything into with men who are fully grown adult men who know right from wrong and are choosing to make the wrong decision. I'm not asking you to love and respect all boys or all men, but I'm telling you, please have a place in your heart for these sub 12-year-old boys, especially 7 to 12 years old, especially in a world I just described to you already. When these boys can't get figured out, they can't sit down and shut up and do their homework properly, they're given medication instead of other accommodations. Like, hey, maybe you need more free time, more playtime. Hey, maybe you need more emotional regulation techniques. Maybe you need to learn how to stim. Maybe you need breath work. Maybe like something that is not punishing you for your fucking existence. And even worse than that, the number or the lack of male teachers to help support these boys. And even if there are any male teachers, it's the only one. So they have to be responsible for every boy. Instead of having male teachers, male therapists, male role models, male guidance just everywhere around. So it's not just, I'm looking for one man to save me from my issues or my reality. It's, I can lean on these different types of men for these different types of things that I'm going through. It's very important for us to invest in local clubs and programs alongside things like public school, alongside things like small businesses, alongside things like Neighborhood Watch, if that's what you want to do. If not, just invest in communities where elderly people can exist and can parole the society to make sure that like anybody, like kids are not hanging around doing shit they're not supposed to do, or taken care of if they can't find the need that they want from home. And the more you can invest in taking care of elders and leaving them in your society, allowing people to grow old and to age in society, the more roles they can play, not only with their love, but with their intellect, they can play on giving to the youth. We'll talk about that child growth pipeline in another video, probably the next vlog, honestly. I'm really feeling that right now. But I don't want to make sure that I want to make sure that we're not just abandoning that, if there's anything left in there. Before we leave here completely, this offers young boys an opportunity to accept themselves on the different stages of their growth journey along the way to becoming a man, this energy of this different versions of a man. This is telling men or young boys to hate themselves until they become a man, and then hate everybody once they become a man, because once they become a man, they're going to realize that they're still not entitled to ownership over their peers. And they're performing, so they're not even being themselves, and they're mad that the performance of their masculinity isn't enough to get somebody to genuinely accept them for who they are. Because at the end of the day, if you're performing to get access to somebody, you're just going to have to hope that they put up with you. for your reality. That's a bar. Next, connections and community. If we as dudes can't look at, let me make sure this is still recording. Yep. If we as dudes don't give ourselves an opportunity to, no, this is actually what I want to say with this. A lot of you guys don't need to leave a legacy in the form of like a family. A lot of you guys are lazy, you're stupid as fuck, you're broke, you don't have any friends, you have absolutely no financial assistance for anybody to depend on you, not even a girlfriend. You don't even have money to go to a nice date. But you think you're entitled to leaving a legacy. You're not leaving a legacy. You're leaving kids that are now going to have to be taken care of by the federal government through the state and welfare, or taken care of by the rest of us in the sense that they're going to have to mooch off of all of us. Because you're not taking care of them. Like, it's, you know what's crazy? How about it's okay for you to be gay and to enjoy your life? You come to Earth, you find out, hey, I'm not straight, I'm gay. Be gay. Enjoy love that you have right now. Love yourself, love the people who love you, love the experience that you have to be the freeness of yourself, or the fullness of who you are, and then leave this reality. Maybe in another life, you get to be a straight dude who wants to reproduce and have a family and take care of them. But imagine being gay, not being allowed to be gay, hating yourself, being forced to marry a woman, hating that woman, being forced to have kids, hating all those kids, hating yourself even more, and then killing yourself, and then abandoning those kids and that wife, thinking that you were straight, and thinking that you were just depressed, but you weren't depressed. You just hated so much of your life because you're forced to do these things, thinking it was going to make you more of a man, but it just made you hate your existence even more than you initially did in the first place. And if you don't kill yourself, how about you abandon your family for hours upon hours every day, telling them that you're going to go work? Or how about you abandon your wife, cheating on her? How about you like... See the world we live in? You just, you blame the world outside of you for not serving you. But you are not looking within to see who is even screaming from inside the house. Because if you knew who that person was genuinely, you realize you're asking the world the wrong questions, or you're telling the world the wrong shit. You're going to have to go express yourself a little bit differently to get the things you really want. Because you're complaining from a position of somebody that you are not. We can get into these other two, the whole like wife whore witch complex. That'll be more in the internet prostitution vlog that I make. But it's really what I'm trying to say with any of this is seeing yourself as who you are and recognizing that you will never be complete in yourself if you're asking for things for a person that you are not. If you're asking for this girl to love you because you want to feel like you're validated in like your masculinity, rather than you genuinely want to be in love or pursue love with a woman, it's never going to feel how you want it to feel. Because maybe you just want that girlfriend to prove to others that you're not gay. But that's not going to help when you're actually gay. And there's honestly nothing funnier than guys who are like hyper masculine so much to the point where like they're super homophobic. But it's like, wait a second. If those of us who are not homophobic and who have friends that are gay, we're like, dude, it's literally not that serious. Like your whole entire existence is rooted in, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay. But somebody who like me, who is accepting in who I am and my heterosexuality, as boring as that is, I don't have to wake up and remind myself every single day, I'm straight, I'm straight, I'm straight. Why would I have to do that unless I'm not? To each their own. To each their own. But you won't find, what I'm trying to say with this new form of connection is that When you humanize everybody, you don't only humanize certain people because they're men, and you only use women for sex because they're women, because the only thing you can have sex with, and you only, when you start to allow humanity to be something that we all share and respect, something you give everybody, that's when we start finding out who you genuinely want to love you and care for you. A lot of you could be in relationships with women, but you're really married to your best friend. And your best friend is your bro. And your wife is your best friend, or your wife is your homie. But you're really married to your best friend like Chad or Derek. It's also some Brokeback Mountain. Oh yeah, let me stop. But I think the point that we wanted to get to with this whole entire section, at least, was speaking about you not being who you are wanting to be, and putting yourself in positions like this, like the frat kids, Iowa frat leader, to sacrifice your dignity to be a part of community. Like, imagine if you being the fullness of who you are only allowed you to align with people who were interested in what you were interested in, people who were engaging in what you were engaging with, people who showed up to events you showed up to. It's like, how are you supposed to make friends when you keep on showing up to this club full of people who are like Miami influencers, when really what you want to do is go to Comic-Con and find somebody who likes the same anime you like? Somebody who likes DC more than they like Marvel. Maybe that's who you're going to find to be your best friend. Maybe that local underground show of like weird dream pop music, maybe that's where you find your girlfriend, bro. And it's not the giant freaking this show, or like this motor car monsters, big car smashing each other. Rah. What if there's an entirely new reality waiting for you on the other side of accepting yourself for who you are, rather than you trying to force yourself through a reality where you have to hate yourself to earn access to your identity? Now we're going to go into the whole career aspect. Yes, I believe if women were leaders, the economy would be in a better place. Yes, I believe that. And I believe we would not go to war. You know why? Because the sacrifice of war are women's children. Just like football. I watched a documentary in like the 70s. Not in the 70s. I'm only 24 years old. I watched a documentary that was made in the 70s speaking about if 10% of American mothers decided or knew the truth, not even decided, if they knew the truth about football, they would end the NFL. 10% of the mothers knew. Not 60, not 70, not 50, not anything above 10% knew. Football would not be a thing. Do you think that any of these elite countries, especially these like military regimes, United States of America, do you think that we would ever go to war if every single time we decided to go to war, the firstborn child or the eldest child of every government official had to go on the front line? Do you think we'd ever go to war again? The eldest child of every single government official, and if you don't have an eldest child, you have to go. We would never go to war again. But because it's children that are not our children that will be sacrificed in the war, so we're going to keep going to war, and we're going to keep on sacrificing you children, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's just a war on paper to those of us who are making the decisions, but it's a war that cost your life if you aren't wealthy enough to be above it. So yes, I believe in a world where women are leaders, we don't have wars. And even better than that, I think women can negotiate better. And I'm not talking about negotiating like with anything other than words here. I think women can negotiate better, more intellectually, at least being a part of the decision-making room than men can on their own. A lot of you guys have never really been in the room because you're afraid or you're intimidated with an intellectual woman. It's literally like Noah parting the seas, bro, or Moses parting the seas, bro. Decisions are made and everybody just does, like some worker bees. Intellectual women are very complex-minded and can comprehend what their own complexity very well, as long as you are willing to open yourself up to somebody who is more intellectual than you. Women's minds are very, very complex, bro, and they can handle a lot of intense information. So the excuse that like, oh, women are going to send us to war on their period. No. You know, it's funny. Women could actually create a society where you didn't have to work when you're on your period. And even better than that, you don't have to work when you're sick, because your employment is going to stay eligible by the time that you are taking care of yourself and healing back, so you can actually contribute 100% of yourself to the business. Women in positions of authority, the only reason why we don't have 7-day work weeks are because women push for that. Or there was a lady that pushed for that. 100% sure about that. But even crazier, workers get better benefits when women are bosses. Workers get better pay when women are bosses. Workers have better lifestyle access because a lot of these women who are bosses are also mothers or were also mothers. So the first business they ran was running the damn house. And if they're not mothers, then they're, again, going back to my complex brain. They can handle complex subjects very well. Men are very simple, single-track-minded creatures. It would afford us a lot, beneficially, to listen to women who have the capacity to think on greater levels than we do, so we can submit to intelligence and we can leverage our strength to be at the mercy of that. So we can have strength with responsibility rather than strength at the mercy of any type of real purpose. So I'm 100% believing in women getting more executive authority, and I would love everybody to have. Fundamentally, what I would love is the person who can do the job the best to get the opportunity. But because we're going to have to push a lot more of what I believe in into this world before you guys accept it, I want to see a lot more women in positions of power, positions of leadership, positions of authority. And not like on some Epstein shit where, oh, this woman was Epstein's co-conspirator, so now she gets a private jet and $100 million. I'm talking about ones who went through the university program, the ones who went through the athletics, the ones who went through the debate team and all that. They need opportunities, and they're ready right now for them. That's what you guys are scared of. It's not only that women are ready, it's that they're ready right now. And if you give them an opportunity right now, we'll never get back. A lot of men will have to sit there and realize not only were we behind, but we're never going to catch up. That's the fear. There will be no going back once we find out what we've been missing out on. And for me, as a dude, that doesn't scare me. I'm here to enjoy the ride because I'm connected. I respect my feminine on the inside of my body and on the outside of my body in the world that I live in. So a world where women are able to care for themselves and they're able to extend that care for themselves to the world around them, I would love to live in that reality. Because a lot of men can have love for themselves, but it's very difficult for those men to extend that love to anybody except themselves. That's why I wanted to have this conversation. Final point of this video, and I'm thankful these guys gave me a little extra time to yap-a-dap-dap to y'all. It's important for us to look at ourselves as children of a mother on different, just located in different parts of the world. We're all cooked differently. That's why our skin looks like this, and why our hair looks like this, and why we speak like this, and we're all just grown differently. We have to accept the fact that we are a family on earth growing together. We may be growing independently on different continents, in different communities, in different tribes, different societies, But we are all growing, and it is all, this life shit is all happening right now. Right now. And the people who will be most prepared and most equipped, especially in a world where the access to intelligence or information is really zero right now. Sit and think. Actually, that opened up a whole other conversation. That opened up a whole other conversation in my brain right there. The people who will be the most equipped or the best equipped to function in this society, not only the one we're walking into, but the one we live in right now, are the people who will pursue the truth at the mercy of where it comes from, who says it, and how it affects them. Those people will be the most equipped to handle the future, especially a future that is not gripped by colonialism and the lies that they force us to believe in to perpetuate their society. These colonizers are either going to take over the entire world and blow it up because they don't know, there's not enough of them and their slaves to sustain cultivation of this earth. They'll just blow it up. Or they'll go to they'll build a ship and they'll go to Mars and then they'll end up blowing it up there. Or we take care of each other. I hope this was more than just, this episode is more than just calling you a cuck. Because you are a cuck if you believe in this patriarchal shit. Like, we don't even have to speak on how it dehumanizes everybody else. We can just speak about how it dehumanizes you as a boy who will never become a man. Because they tell you that becoming a man is A, B, C. It's taking all these drugs. It's having all this sex. It's beating on other people. But they won't tell you that being a man is standing up for what you believe in. Being a man is loving your community, loving the people who look like you, bro, loving the people who live like you. They don't tell you that it's being responsible for your purpose. It's being accountable for your actions. They don't tell you that being a man is all of these things, and it could potentially leave you dying for what you believe in. Standing up to protect what you believe in. That's what they don't want to tell you. They got you chasing all this other shit that doesn't matter to a bunch of adult children. How many of these people who are pursuing this hypermasculinity, how many of them take care of their kids? How many of them respect their spouses? How many of them actually get money? And even if they do, it's not real. I want us, especially as younger dudes, I want us to just say fuck that, bro, to the lies they're trying to tell us, man. They're trying to tell us, oh, women do this, oh, women this, oh, immigrants stealing your jobs, oh, black people are animals, oh, this. All those lies that rich people tell you, it's all cope, it's all bullshit. This earth is meant to be full of different color people, different genders people, different species of people, of animals, of life. That's what this is supposed to be, bro. You're going to fuck this up because you're afraid of a planet full of different people? Like, what did you think this is going to be, bro? A country club? This is planet Earth, bro. Of course there's going to be other people that don't look like you. Get over it. Once you get over, this will be the conclusion of this video here, but if you can get over the fear of insignificance as a man, completely. If you can get over the fear of being seen as insignificant as a man in this reality and just tunnel vision, fully focus on becoming what you can be through your own inner discovery, your own inspiration, your own life experiences, and just keep taking steps in that lane, allowing yourself access to making new connections, seeing new opportunities, getting resources, developing and optimizing your story, you're going to realize that everything that you want is on the way of becoming who you're supposed to be. And you don't have to abandon that path for the sake of somebody else telling you that, oh, well, you're a man enough to me. You don't have to keep on pursuing. Fuck that. Be the man that you came here to be your whole fucking life. And you will never find that or even touch that if your whole psychology is rooted in rejecting and hating yourself. You won't find that. You're only going to get there when you shed the skin, the exoskeleton, the Camelot armor from your body, and you look at your fragile, frail, lame self, and you say, this is the life that I got, and I will make everything out of this life that I got. I don't care if I get rejected by old friends. I don't care if I get rejected by old peers. I don't care if I get rejected by communities full of conformists and cult members. I only care about being able to fully love myself in this life and extend that love as far out as I can. Through contribution, through connecting, through contributing. I said that twice, I'm sorry. Through collaborating. But I don't need to be the most important thing here. I, as a man, don't need to leave a legacy. I need to be a part of the global legacy, of my village's legacy, of my cultural legacy. And I need to play a positive role in that. And the world doesn't have to remember me. I don't have to leave anything behind even. But the energy that I invested in making this a better place. If we can get there, you're going to realize, like, dude, we don't have to do the patriarchal shit, man. We can get our power out of being super. You don't have to go to the gym and oh, my girlfriend cheated on me with a football player. Now I'm going to go train like Batman. Dude, forget that, bro. Go to the gym and try to become a Power Ranger. Go to the gym and try to become Goku. Go to the gym because you know it's important for the person that you're becoming. Disciplined, responsible, sexy, intentional. The two things I want to end this video with. I'm sorry, two more things now. One, the future of the fitness industry, at least as it pertains to online, it's not going to be just staring at people's bodies and physiques. That's going to lead everybody into OnlyFans. So that's going to be one aspect. But the other side is going to be people realizing your body can only get so good as it pertains to beating the algorithm, but you can make yourself different by speaking about emotional fitness, energetic fitness, the intangible aspects of our humanity, and how you can use the systems and habits and routines you learned from your fitness journey to apply them to your emotions and to healing and growing and taking care of and responsibility over your own self and psyche. There's an amazing clip of this lady who I think she won an Olympic medal, and somebody was asking, like, do you think before you speak? Because you just answer so clearly and so direct. And the lady said, I look at my mind like a scientist instead of a critic. Or I look at myself through my mind like a scientist instead of a critic. I'm analyzing myself. I'm reiterating. I'm developing. Now I'm freestyling. Forgive me. But I'm looking at myself as almost like a system that I have the power to optimize. And why would I not take that responsibility if I can do it, instead of waiting on somebody else to teach me or to love me enough to do that for me? So I think that's beautiful right there. All right, now, hopefully that's good enough to end this video on. If I have any more ideas as it pertains to this video or this concept, I will make some extra notes. I'll put them in like a Patreon or something. But other than that, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being here. And final note, I'm sorry. If you are a cuck or you are comfortable with like cuckoldry and whatnot, I'm not trying to hate on you. I'm just trying to tell you that that type of philosophy is being forced on a bunch of young boys, and then they're being almost like guided into these cuckold responsibilities, and then they're complaining about their life to a bunch of other people. Instead of like not listening to a bunch of dudes who don't have their best interest at heart, and then maybe pursuing a path of authenticity and meeting other people who they're going to have to humanize, but will give them advice as to how to live a life that they can actually love themselves in. But if you are a cuck, go ahead and shoot me a DM on my Instagram and we can go ahead and get something figured out for you. Other than that, check out the board one more time. We will be getting out of here now. Thank you. for being here. You know, it's always love. I have to be a lot more patient with myself because these are concepts that we're probably not going to be speaking of on a generalized level for another couple of years. But if anybody wants to have them, I'm here, and I'm having them. So that's how the cookie crumbles. If you'd like to support the channel, you know what to do. And if not, you're a piece of shit. I hate you. No, I'm playing. Until next time. Catch you later.